So how should one assess the contribution of Fali Nariman to the bar and judiciary? Joining me now, two very special guests, Justice Madan Lokur, former judge of the Supreme Court, and Indira Jaising, former Additional Solicitor General and one of the country's leading lawyers. Appreciate both of you joining us. The word which is being used by jurists across the country today is India has lost its Bhishma Pitama when it comes to the judiciary. Would you agree with that, Justice Lokur? What made Fali Nariman, according to you, such a towering figure?
Yes, thank you, Rajdeep. But first, let me express my condolences to the family. The country itself has actually lost a great, outstanding lawyer. In a sense, I would say that he was the conscience keeper not only of the bar, but also of the judiciary. I think his contribution to the development of the law, to understanding, what is right and what is wrong, is, I think, phenomenal. All across, whether it is lawyers or whether it is judges, all of them had great respect for him and appreciated whatever he said. He never said anything out of malice or anything. But if he was unhappy, well, he expressed it politely but firmly. And I think everybody respected him for his views, for his character, for his integrity. Just about everything that you can expect from a person.
Because I recall my last two interviews with him. One was on the Collegium system, one on Article 370, and at the age of 95, spoke clearly and eloquently, spoke his mind on these issues. But Indira Jaising, how will you remember him? He was also, of course, Additional Solicitor General and then resigns the day after Indira Gandhi declares emergency. So to use what I heard just now from Justice Lokur, he was truly a conscience keeper.
Yes. Rajdeep, I too would like to start by extending my condolences to his family, his son, who went on to become a judge of the Supreme Court of India, his daughter-in-law, who was present in his life, his daughter and her family. That being said, I would like to put on record that Fali, as we knew him, was first and foremost a product of the Bombay High Court. He moved to Delhi in 1971, and as you point out, in 1975, he resigned, which is a symbol of his abiding commitment to democracy. In his later life, of course, he also exhibited a strong commitment to secularism, protesting against the manner in which minorities in this country were being discriminated against. But I would like to return to his career as a Bombay lawyer. He belonged to a minority himself, and he always acknowledged the fact that this country gave him, from a minority community, the opportunity to reach the heights that any person could reach in this profession. As for his contribution to the judiciary and the legal profession, I think it was his firm insistence of the distinction and separation of powers between the executive and the judiciary, single-handedly lobbied for and achieved that separation in the setting up of the Collegium system. And he leaves behind him this heavy burden on our shoulders to ensure that this separation remains in place for the benefit of the ordinary citizen of the country.
At a personal level, Justice Lokur, how will you remember him? Because I recall a young lawyer telling me that he sought advice from Fali Nariman a few years ago, and he was well past 90 then. And Mr. Nariman gave him a 20-page or a 15-page note giving him details of how to be a good lawyer. So even at that age, very diligent about the law. How will you remember him? Another friend told me about his great love for music. He was clearly a man of many parts.
Oh, yes, certainly. The note that you're talking about was actually a handwritten note, right? So he sat down when he was asked what is the advice that you would give to young lawyers. He sat down and wrote that particular note. But he also said, which is, I think, very, very important for young lawyers. He said that if you have nothing to do in court at any point of time, just sit in the court. You will learn a lot. And he said, a couple of years ago, that even at that age, he would do that. If he didn't have a case or he was waiting for a case, he would sit in the court to just watch the proceedings. But I would certainly remember him for the extremely passionate, handling of the case of the National Judicial Appointments Commission. He was the leading lawyer in that case, and I was a member of the bench. And he was very passionate about the independence of the judiciary. And he looked at the problem in every possible aspect and persuaded us, and we agreed with him eventually, that the independence of the judiciary has to be preserved and that the National Judicial Appointments Commission is not good for the independence of the judiciary. So I would certainly remember him for that. I would also remember him for being a fine gentleman. In fact, just a couple of days ago, on the 10th of February, when there was an awards function, he spoke about press freedom. And, he was very warm, always. Whenever I met him, he was always very warm, inquiring about the family, how things are.
He would always, in fact, he would always, if you went to his house, he would always offer you a slice of cake. He seemed to love his sweet. And that good, great Parsi hospitality was part of his character. But the Bombay School of Law, Indira Jaising, is this the last of the Mohicans when it comes to the Bombay School of Law? Lots of great Parsi lawyers who came through the ages. We can go back in time to the Sorabjis, the Palkiwalas, and now, of course, the great Fali Nariman. That school, Anil Diwan, lots of names come to mind, Ashok Desai. Is it the end of that era of the Bombay School? What was so special of this Bombay School of Law, if I may ask?
Rajdeep, that will take me a book to answer your question. But remember that he was the first generation of lawyers which dealt with a written constitution. That was special. Why was the Bombay influence so special? Because Bombay was the commercial center of India. It probably still is. And the Parsi community has always contributed a judge to the Supreme Court of India. Always, always. We even have one now. Of course, Fali chose not to become a judge. But coming back to the shaping of his career, it happened in the commercial center of India, that is Bombay. And you're very right in saying that era is gone. They were the ones who were the first practitioners of law in an independent India. Fortunately, we still have some of them around, but not the Bombay lot. So it's going to be a loss on many, many, many different dimensions. And I'm sorry, Rajdeep, coming from Bombay as I do, I'm a bit chauvinist about the absolutely meticulous manner in which Bombay lawyers present their case. I do believe it was I'm sorry. I do believe it was...
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
I do believe that the training which we got on what is known as the original side of the Bombay High Court was very special, very specific. And watching Mr. Nariman argue cases in the Bombay High Court way back in the 1970s and 1960s for me was a great learning experience. The meticulousness with the absolute command over the English language and the mastery over English common law as well as constitutional law was something that we are not going to see in a long time to come.
Oh, yes.
Indira Jaising, Justice Madan Lokur, we could go on and on, but even in that brief tribute that the two of you have really played to Fali Nariman, we have lost truly a giant of our times, and I think he really stood for the finest constitutional values that the country has. I appreciate both of you joining me, Justice Lokur, Indira Jaising, on this rather sad day.
Rajdeep,
yes, go ahead. You want to say something?
There is a vacuum which is going to be very, very difficult to fill up. We've lost a giant of a man.
Absolutely, we've lost a giant.
Rajdeep, Justice Lokur didn't tell you he was on the bench when that case was being argued. The challenge to the National Commission, Judicial Commission. He was there.
No, he did say that. He did say, no, he did mention that. Okay. But the truth of the matter is, as I said, I have lost someone who I saw as a counsel. Whenever I wanted to understand a legal matter, I would walk across to his house and he was always welcoming. We will miss you, Fali uncle, is all I can say. You are one of a kind. You represented a great generation of lawyers. Justice Lokur, Indira Jaising, pleasure having you on this show on a rather sad day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.